Hey guys, welcome back to Magic TV. It's a Tuesday, which means that I have Matt with me. And it is actually a Tuesday. We're filming on the day it's meant to be up.
Is it going up today, is it?
It's going up today, yeah.
So posting in the Discord.
It's very rare for us to actually film something on the day that it actually goes up, but we're doing that today. We're back with a Matt test.
We need to hurry up because it's Christmas party day.
It is Christmas party day. Now, normally, recently, we've been doing a lot of Matt tests, so I've been showing you a trick and getting your opinion on it. But this week, we're doing a Craig test. You're back performing. It hasn't been like, he's been busy the last couple of weeks, so he's not had time to learn anything new. But he's doing a Craig test. He's got a trick. It's a brand new trick that's just come out. That he's
is it brand new?
Literally just came out last week.
No, because normally you give me things that are like 25 years old.
Because to you it's new. But this is brand new. Brand spanking new. Do you want to show people the book? That's the book. It's called Noah's Ark, a propless animal guess by Fraser Parker.
Yep.
Little booklet which you've studied, and you're going to.
I wouldn't say studied. I read it last night.
Oh no! Come on.
It's not really a study. Oh yeah, copyright 2023. It is new.
Yeah, it is new. Brand new.
Brand new.
Literally came out last week.
Brand
For those people that don't know, Matt is a magician. He's going to try and fool me with a trick, which I don't know, which is this. So I want to get your opinion on this as well, because obviously you're veering more towards mentalism than me. I'm more of a magician. You're more of a mentalist, and a lot of your presentations are very scripted, very lengthy, and
Whoa! What did you say to me when we were at that gig at the army base the other day?
Shut the fuck up.
I'm going to do these tables, you do those tables, I bet you 50 quid you won't be finished before me. And by the time you finish your last table, I was stood behind you.
Yeah, I think you just skipped a couple of tables, to be honest.
No, I didn't.
I didn't check on him, so I think he probably skipped a couple of tables.
At all.
It was the type of gig where his normal waffly wanky bollocks probably wouldn't have worked as well.
So I sped it up.
You sped it up.
And it worked.
There you go.
And I was stood behind you by the time you'd finished.
Oh, well done. Give yourself a fucking cookie. Right, so today he's going to...
cookies?
Yeah, in the Christmas lunch. That's why we need to hurry up with this.
Oh, yeah.
Remember, you just spoke
Come on,
about
then, get on with it. Fucking hell, Craig.
It's not me that's doing the trick. You're the
Come on!
Perform to me then, bitch. Let's see the trick. Sick of this shit. Right. Do the trick.
Okay. So, just a little bit of an intro. If you let me get through it without telling me I'm taking too long, we can get through this quite quickly.
It's fine.
Okay, so remember when you were at school? Many moons ago. All that time ago, back in the day.
Pot kettle black.
When you got taken to school on the back of that horse-drawn carriage thing. Yeah. When they were teaching you the alphabet, do you remember those things they used to hang on the wall, like on the ceiling? Or you get the little flip books where you get the letters and then there was an animal with that letter?
I just used to remember it with the song.
What song?
A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z, word. My teacher was into rap. But yeah, they had the things hanging up as well.
I don't think I can ever hear that.
A to the B to the C to the D,
can we
E,
not?
F, G, H. Yeah, sorry, I got lost in the middle.
Marky G. Yeah. Marky Mark.
Yeah.
Really old. But do you remember them? They're the little flip books with the big letters on, and then behind them there was an animal. And each animal obviously started with the letter of that.
Yeah, I remember.
In the alphabet, and that's how we learned the alphabet. So just pick one.
Pick a letter.
Pick a letter with an animal.
What?
Pick an animal.
Pick an animal. Any animal.
Just pick an animal, and then just picture those little flip chart things. Picture the animal with the big letter that's the start of the animal's name.
Yeah, I've got it.
Start of the animal's.
I've got it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You do it as well.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah. Let's try it with you as well. Let's see if we can do two. Just to be cocky. In fact, we'll try and get you pair to sync up. This will be interesting. This would be interesting. Okay, you pair sync up. You pair look at each other. Gaze deep into each other's eyes. Don't do that. Mike physically took a step back. And he's holding the camera. He's going to end up out the window. Look, he's gone. Okay, so are you old enough to remember those things that they used to hang from the ceiling, or the?
I think
they
they
probably
still have
still
them
do.
now.
Do they still have them now? I don't know. It's been a while since I've
Your
been to school.
mom is a fucking teacher.
Yeah, but I don't go there with her.
What do you think they have now? Just iPads hanging off the wall?
Yeah. I don't know. They may have a different method to 750,000 years ago when we went to school. So you've picked an animal.
Yeah.
And you know the first letter of that animal.
Yeah.
And you can see it. Okay, perfect. Just look at each other again.
I don't think I want to.
Nobody does. Okay, cool. Okay, so picture the alphabet.
Yep.
Picture the letter that you're on, and then just skip forward if you. Both of you. Okay? Me? Mike? Okay, I think one of you's got an odd number. I want to try and keep you in sync. So if you can go to an even number, whichever one went to an odd number, go to an even number. So you've skipped forward a few letters. Just make sure it's an even number that you've skipped forward. And that letter that we've landed on, we're going to use that to create a name for our animal.
Okay.
Okay, so any name starting with that letter that you've skipped to, Mike?
Harry?
Harry?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Name for the animal?
Gary.
To be fair though, Harry and Gary, they're pretty. You know what I mean? You guys might actually be kind of in sync with this. Harry and Gary's pretty close.
Yeah, it is.
Okay. The animal that the animal that you selected, the animal that you chose freely in your head, would you be able to consider that animal a pet?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Both of you, they're both pets. So they're like a definitive kind of live in a house kind of animal, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I think you guys are more in sync than... Are they both... It's not like a big, long name, is it? It's quite a short, compact... Kind of 3 letters, 4 letters, 3 letters, 3 letters. Is yours the same? Kind of short, compact name?
Yeah.
For the animal itself? 3 letters, 4 letters?
It is.
3? 3? Okay. Oh, so they're both 3-letter animals. They're both... I don't think you guys have quite got it, but I think you're pretty damn close. I think Harry's a dog, Gary's a cat. Is that right? They're the animals that you selected?
Yes.
You selected a dog, you selected a cat.
Yes.
So you guys are more in sync than you think. That's pretty close. They're both domestic animals, both pets. That's really Harry and Gary. That's really good. Well done, boys.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah?
I like that. Can I look at it? Look. Obviously, we don't have to make this about guessing how it works because it's propless mentalism. So there's obviously I can kind of say, I don't know the specifics, but I kind of have a rough idea of exactly what.
To be fair, that couldn't have gone much better.
Really?
Yeah. That was a shot in the dark going with both of you.
Look, I got to tell you right now, that is exceptional. And I want to get your thoughts on this, Mr. Mentalist. Genuinely. Okay. I want to get your thoughts on this, first of all, because obviously you've read it. You know it. You've read it to the point that you can perform it inside out and back to front. I want to get your thoughts on both this, but I also want to get your thoughts on propless mentalism, because you've never done propless mentalism before.
Nope.
And you probably, because you've not been in the magic community so long, you probably don't realise that amongst mentalists, there's a massive divide when it comes to propless mentalism.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So a lot of people... So one of the people who really advocates... But actually, let me tell you, there's some people that think that propless mentalism...
I know one person that advocates it.
Yeah. So there's a lot of people, and I'm not a mentalist, but I'm in this camp, that look at propless mentalism as guessing. And it's just clever guessing, and it's not 100% surefire.
No.
And if you're performing in front of an audience, you owe it to your audience to do the best possible performance that you can do. Yeah. And if you're booked, for example, for a CEO and for a company Christmas party, and the CEO always says, show me something, you'd be nuts to do something like this because there's a chance it might go wrong and then you look bad. But then the other group of people will go, yeah, but mentalism's all about taking risks, and propless mentalism is better because if you could really read minds, you wouldn't use a pad, you wouldn't use a deck of cards, you wouldn't use a dice, you would literally just have somebody think of something. And I've never subscribed to that theory. I do lean towards it more having watched Pete Turner perform, because Pete Turner is a big advocate of
yeah, that's the man. That's the one I was.
And,
that's the name I was
you
say.
were there at Blackpool at the House of Secrets when he did his star sign divination.
He did it on me.
Propless star sign divination, and I remember you just like being like almost scared, because at that point you didn't know, you still don't know much, but you knew even less back then. And
I wasn't scared. I was drunk.
But you were just like,
he freaked me the fuck out.
He freaked you out.
Yeah.
And you see Pete Turner do that sort of stuff. And Fraser, I don't really know Fraser Parker, but I know that he's big in the propless mentalism world as well. And it's kind of like you see somebody else do that and you go, well, actually, no, that's incredible. Mm-hmm. But then the problem is, I don't think that there's many people that are as good as Pete Turner. I think that, and also, even Pete, I imagine, would get misses occasionally. There's only...
Of course.
And
I've seen Pete miss.
Maybe when you're doing... in a gig, and maybe when you're doing it, you're around a friend's house and they go, show me something, you might do this, and if it goes wrong, it doesn't really matter because it's something, you're just showing it to mates. Or you're going to your biker bar in Wales, you've just driven down to Wales, you're getting your little biker, but you've got your leathers on, you get your little helmet, you go on your bike, you go all the way over to Wales. When you get there, you sit down on the swings and drink, Red Bull and stuff. But when you're there and you're with your little biker mates, and you're going all the way over there, and you're there in your little leathers, and it's nice weather and stuff, and you're there, you go, hey Matt, you're a magician, show me a trick. And you go, oh, okay, well, think of an animal. Wow. And if it goes wrong, it doesn't matter. But in a gig, I think it does. I want to know your thoughts on that, because I would never do... In one way, it's the ultimate EDC. It's the ultimate everyday carry. This is the ultimate everyday carry, because you don't need anything. You could literally walk around naked and tell someone the animal they're thinking of. Mm-hmm. In reality, you kind of worry, well, what happens if it doesn't work? What's your thoughts?
I think that you're right. I mean, that couldn't have got, short of you both picking the exact same animal, that couldn't have gone much better. He speaks a lot in the book about what happens if you miss. So you basically just need to be very good at the outs that he provides you. And you need to be very good at the fishing that you need to do. So the questions that I asked are...
It didn't feel like there was any fishing.
Really? Because that's what it was. But there were different questions. He gives you like a bunch of different questions in there to ask depending on what the previous answers are. So I narrowed it down really, really quickly with the questions that he specifies in the book. And if it didn't feel like fishing, then fantastic. But there are situations that you would get into where you would have to do more fishing. And I think you're absolutely right. For the kind of gigs that I do, if I was walking, like when I'm walking around Blackpool in February, and you're just performing to a bunch of magicians, and everyone's riffing and just trying out different things, that could be fine. You could do that all night, and you'd get hits, and sometimes you wouldn't. But it wouldn't really matter. You're not being paid. You know what I mean? Everyone's just out riffing and sessioning and just throwing ideas around at each other. You could throw that out there, and you could freak the crap out of a massive amount of people because you'd get hits. But then sometimes you wouldn't. But as a gigging magician, when we're out there doing what we're doing this month and last month and will be next month and the month after, and it's paid gigs, corporate gigs, whatever it is, Christmas gigs, you couldn't walk around with the possibility of getting misses all the time. Because it would... devalue what you're doing.
Could you get to a point with it though, where you get so good at it? Because you're talking about outs,
there are outs in there,
you're talking about fishing.
But even he states, even with the outs, sometimes it's not going to happen. And with, you would need to, he talks about it in the book being like an opening thing. And there is an out for if you get it wrong if you're an opener. So I'm not going to go into the details of what it is, but there's 2 outs in there. If you go and use it as an opener and you walk up to a group of people and you get it wrong, there's 2 really good outs in there to be able to move forward, right? And I agree that that's a good thing to do. But I think with the gigs that we do, like if we went to a barracks, like we've done lots of times this month, and we walked into a military base and said, I'm going to try and read your mind, think of an animal. There isn't a single guy in there that's going to go, dog. It'll be fucking aardvark. Or, do you know what I mean? Something ridiculous. A lesser spotted dung beetle. What, you know what I mean? It's just going to be something ridiculous that you're never going to get. And all the fishing in the world isn't going to get you to that animal. Because they're going to try everything they can to throw you off. Because that's what they do.
And there are people like that do that. And it's not because they're being a dick. They just look at it as having fun. You know?
Yeah, they do.
How many times have you had it where you're like, right, okay, I'm going to try and catch you out, mate. I love magicians, but I'm going to see if I can watch this.
Literally every multiple times every gig over Christmas. I'll go up and say, I'm not really a magician, I'm more of a mentalist, so I do like mind reading and stuff like that. And some guy will go, right, you're not going to want to get in there, mate. There's loads of dodgy stuff, but give it a go if you want. And it's like, okay, cool. But he's never going to go cat. If you ask him to think of an animal, he's not. It's just not going to happen. There's no way. They're going to try and do, and they actively do things all the time to try and throw you off. I had a guy at a gig the other day at a military base again, and I did a bit of the Anverdi die with him, and he went, take your watch off and do it again. And I went, what? He went, take your watch off, do it again. And he was staring me dead in the eye, and he was convinced that it was my watch. And he wasn't just going to let me get away with it. He went, take your watch off, do it again. So I went, all right. Took my watch off, put it down on the table in front of him.
Good job he didn't tell you to take your shoes and socks off.
It is, isn't it? But I took my watch off, I put it down in front of him, I did it again, he went, and then he stood up and he shook my hand, he went, fair play. And that was it. But they're never going to give you an easy out in these kind of gigs. And it's not just corporate gigs, it's not just military bases, it's everywhere. People try and throw you off all the time. Weddings and stuff, you get drunk people that try and do it. And I think, for me, there's too many ways that could not hit for me.
So,
at the moment, maybe if I read it through another couple of times, maybe if I give it some more time.
So, what do you think of people's attitude where, hey, mentalism should be pure? You should be able to do mentalism with no props and just say, think of something and tell them what they're thinking of.
That's impossible.
Well, it's not impossible. You saw Pete Turner do it at Blackpool.
Yeah, but he's still fishing. He's just fishing in a way that you don't know.
From the and by the way, I'm agreeing with you. I'm playing devil's advocate here. From the point of view of the person that's watching Pete, they don't think he's fishing. You got to look at. I'm talking about the
but from the point of view of you with me doing that, then you said that didn't look like you were fishing, and exactly. I learned that last night. If I had the experience of Pete Turner, you can make anything look like you're not fishing,
exactly,
but you still are.
Yeah, but the point I'm trying to make is, what do you think from the layperson, the audience member, the person that's watching you, do you think it's stronger for them if you're going in with no props and you're just like, right, okay, you got a star sign, boom, this is what your star sign is, versus, hey, I've got a dice here, and I've also got this list here, and I've got this phone with these things on, and
I know what you're asking me. I've never done that in the real world. I've never done propless mentalism in the real world.
Would you ever do it?
If I thought it was strong enough that I could get a higher percentage of hits. So
you'd be fine with a certain...
If Pete taught me how to do his star sign thing, if I sat down with Pete and he went, this is how I do it, and he gave me all of his outs and he gave me everything that he knows and everything that he knows in order to be able to make him... Because I saw him do that fucking dozens of times.
And he never misses once.
And he didn't miss. I saw him miss once. But he's so slick with getting out of it that by the time he'd finished with this person, he'd bent them inside out, and they are never in a million years going to remember that he didn't get the hit on the first one. Because the second he didn't get the hit, it was almost like it pissed him off. So he just went, and just like just destroyed this person. They were just like, what the fuck just happened? And so people like Pete, even though he's got a miss, he can turn that into something outstanding.
Yeah, you can. Yeah.
And that's the difference. If you're going to do something like this, you have to be able to get out of it if it goes wrong. And somebody with the experience of Pete can do that. So if I had Pete's level of experience and I knew Pete's routine, if I sat in a room with Pete Turner for, I don't know, like 4 years, whatever it would take, then yeah, I would 100% go out there and do that if I could get the reactions.
So do you think that you could practice this on mates over and over again and get it to a point where it's as strong as the star? Because let's be honest, I mean, a star sign is more personal, but this in many ways is more impressive than a star sign. There's 13 star signs. There's literally hundreds of animals. If you could go up to somebody in a gig and say, hey, how's that as an opener? Hey, do me a favour, think of an animal.
That principle, I would imagine you could use that principle for pretty much anything.
Yeah.
You could do it for pretty much anything. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't have to be animals, I don't suppose.
So my question is, would you do it?
Not right now. I'm nowhere near confident enough with it in order to be able to go out there. I got really lucky with you guys. I don't know all of the outs. They don't give all of the outs in here. Like, there's no way of knowing all of the outs. You would have to do what every good propless mentalist in the world has ever done, which is what I'm sure Pete did, and I'm sure Devon's done, because I've seen him do propless stuff fucking hundreds of times, and it's experience and it's learning more of the craft than I know right now to be able to pull something like this off. This, to me, in order to be able to make this look slick, in order to be able to make this look good and to have it work on real people out in the... I knew that you guys weren't going to be dicks. To the point where you weren't going to go, like, fucking crazy with the animals. And the reason that I tried to go quick... And the reason... That's another reason why... And he does mention this in the book, but that's the reason why I
did
went
actually
for the
originally, before I went for cat, my original first instinct was woolly mammoth.
Which is why I said about... the banner that goes on the ceiling and the flip chart, because if you're thinking of those animals, you know, D is always going to be dog, C is always going to be cat, S is always going to be shark. Do you know what I mean? E is always going to be elephant. It's always going to be...
But to be clear, you don't have to do that with this. That's
no, you don't have to.
Added.
No, I didn't add it. It's in the book.
Okay.
But they said, like, later, like, when he first tells you in the book, that's not part of it. Later on in the book, he says he spoke to another guy who added this bit for this reason. And it kind of... Even though you've got a free choice of any animal, if you're thinking about that thing and you go along, if you go to F, it's going to be fish. Because that's what's in your picture in that thing. You know what I mean? So that's why the other guy that he mentions in the book, does it that way. And I was like, I agree with that. Especially to start off with, I agree with that. You would also have to know every animal that starts with every letter on the face of the earth in order to be able to kind of work, like, to fish enough in order to be able to find it in the situations that we're in. Which is why I think if I was going to do this live, you can tell, like, even doing something like Anverdi Die, you can tell who's going to be compliant and you can tell who's going to be okay. And after I've got enough experience now to, like, when I'm doing out to lunch wouldn't work with a lot of people. There'd be a lot of people that are way too skeptical. There'd be a lot of people that just flat out go, no way, that didn't, blah, 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 blah. You can tell after a while, after you've worked with somebody for a few minutes, you can tell if they're going to be susceptible to something like that. And I think that I would have to get to that point where I know that this person isn't going to try and screw me over in order to be able to try something like that at the moment.
Okay. So this book is not really for a beginner?
Fuck no. No.
So would you recommend it? Give it a review. You've performed it a bunch of times. You've read it from cover to cover. Give it a review.
Twice.
Bearing in mind 79% and below, you won't do it. 80% and above, it's going to go into your act. So it doesn't necessarily have to go into your act. It could be, you know what, I'm going to read it a few more times. I'm going to practice using this technique on my mates, where if it goes wrong, it doesn't matter. I'm going to get to a point where I want to do, where I'm comfortable doing it, in which case it get over the 80%. Or if it's a case of, you know what, it doesn't matter how good I get at this, I don't think it's going to replace working with props, because I want to have that surefire ability of being in the real world and knowing that it's never going to miss and I don't have to worry about outs. That's the big debate: propless or not.
Still,
propless.
I mean, even prop stuff, you still miss.
Yeah, I know.
But
there's a higher miss.
I got a fucking unverted die wrong the other day.
Not surprised. I mean, why, really?
Yeah, I miscounted. I got it fucking wrong. I was tired. I'd been... It was like my fourth gig in 2 days. I was fucking knackered, and I'd been like doing it all night, and I got it wrong. I fucked it up. I got it wrong, and I was like, holy shit, that's never happened before. What do I do? And I just went into performer mode and just span loads of shit and made it out like this guy was really special, and just loads of random words came out of my mouth, and everyone clapped and cheered and gave this guy a hug, and then he hugged me, and then everyone walked away happy. It was all good. It was fine. But yeah, I fucked it up. So there's, you can't ever not fuck there's always a way of fucking something up.
Yeah, but
always.
you're going to have more chance of fucking something up with a prop.
100%. You're more likely to fuck this up than something that you've got as a prop. But I mean, I don't agree with either side when it comes to mentalism. Like, we had this debate before about something to do with magic. Is magic better if it's just with a deck of cards?
Yeah.
Or if
the argument with magic is, should you use, like, let's say I was doing a coin trick. Okay. I will give you an example.
You don't have to do one.
I'll give you an example. I've got apparition here. So it's like, so the example would be pure. Let me just get rid of my my gimmick. Okay. So pure sleight. Just saying.
Told you, anyone can fuck anything up.
So pure sleight of hand would be, look, I've got a silver coin, I've got a Chinese coin. If I take the silver coin and put it here, and then take the Chinese coin and hold it in this side, watch the Chinese coin, don't blink. If I squeeze, now that's the silver coin over here, and over here I've got the Chinese coin. That's like a pure sleight of hand version of doing the trick. Whilst with something like apparition, you've got more of a case of, look, examine the coins, check them out. Are they okay? They are. Good. Look, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take these coins and I'm going to pop inside here the Chinese coin. Hold your hand out for me. Very good. Nice and flat. I'm going to put the silver coin there. You know the Chinese coin is in the purse. If magic was real, nothing in the hands, it would look something like that. You see, that's the Chinese coin there, and now inside the purse is the silver coin. For me, the gimmick makes that so much better. Like the first routine that didn't use the gimmick, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. It's a Rubinstein trick. It's a great sleight. I've got routines with it. But if I was going to impress somebody...
I understand the argument, but why?
What do you mean, why?
Like, why? What's the argument for against it?
No, there's a lot of people out there, whether it's coins or cards, there's a lot of people out there that say you should be pure.
But why?
Because you're a lot of magicians, and you can look into this yourself, will go, oh, magic's too easy. Anybody can go out with an invisible deck and an unverted die and a stacked deck and go and get reactions. But really, to consider yourself a real magician, you should be able to do the tricky stuff. I don't use gimmicks. I only use sleight of hand. I'm a pure magician. Everything I do uses real coins and no gimmicks. So when I make two coins change places like that, whatever it may be, well, my attitude has always been, I'm going to use a gimmick. My attitude is, I want my audience to have the best possible experience of magic as they can.
Perspective of where you're coming from, though, right? So, for me, my perspective of magic, and it's going to be different for everybody. So it's an unwinnable argument. At the end of the day, who gives a shit? Is my opinion of it. Who fucking cares, right? Magic's magic. People like it. It makes people happy. Who gives a fuck how it's done? Like, if you're performing a trick to someone and they go, that's fucking great, I love that. Who gives a shit if you've got a fucking gimmick or not? Who fucking cares? Yeah. It's fun. And from my perspective, like, as I've always looked at this as being a performer, as opposed to being a magician or a mentalist or whatever. I'm out there doing gigs in the real world, performing gigs. So I don't give a shit if I'm using a gimmick or if I'm just using a deck of cards. As long as the customer, the paying customer, is happy and they're having a good time and they don't know how it's done, then I've done my job. I genuinely don't get the deal with, and people can disagree with me. That's fine. But as far as I'm concerned, magic, whether it's mentalism, whether it's propless, whether you've got a gimmick, whatever it is, it's about making somebody feel a certain way. It's about making somebody feel the magic. And as long as you're making somebody feel that magic, who gives a fuck how it's done?
So with that argument in mind, why would you bother with propless mentalism at all? If it's about making that, why would you ever want to take a routine out that you could potentially miss with? Even with Pete Turner, you said he performed it a load of times, and one time he missed, but it didn't matter because blah, 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 blah.
Yeah,
so here's a question. No, here's a question on that subject, because you've just made a statement at me. And by the way, I agree with you, but I just want to... I've got 13 cards, blank cards.
Yeah.
Each one of them has got a different star sign on it.
Okay.
I have them take the cards and shuffle them. I have them go through, find their star sign, show it to everybody, and then put it back and shuffle it in the pack. And somehow I've peeked that card, maybe with a control or a peek or whatever. I've peeked that card so I can then go, think of your star sign. Everyone knows it, but I don't know it. You know, you're Aries. Oh my God. Amazing. Versus what Pete does, which is he doesn't have cards. He doesn't go through any of that procedure. He's like, there is procedure, but it's propless. And he goes, boom, you're Aries. If the effect is what's important, if the end effect, it's not about whether you use a gimmick or whether you use sleight of hand or whether there's props or there's not props involved. Why would Pete want to do that when he can just take 13 cards and write star signs on the back of each one? Why push ourselves to go in a different direction? Why is Pete held in such reverence compared to anybody else in the world as a mentalist? Because he can do stuff that other mentalists can't do. When if it's the end effect on the audience that's important, why doesn't everyone just go out with just some cards, or use digital force bag and just have star signs on digital force bag, or have a little bag with like 13 slips in them that they reach in and take one, a little bit like the stools routine? Like, why is it what?
Because Pete's coming at it from a different perspective to the rest of us, isn't it?
Fuck Pete. What you made the statement about?
Yeah. For me, as a gigging magician, I do what I do. I want to learn stuff like this because I think it's massively impressive. I would love to be able to learn stuff and get away with things like that, but that would be more for me. Do you know what I mean? I don't think... It depends on the customer. It depends on who you're performing to. Especially at parties that we go to, there's a lot of magicians go to these kind of things. People have had magicians there for the last kind of 3 years, which is why when I walk in and I do what I do, even though what I do is super easy, it gets really good reactions because I'm performing it really well and it's something they've not seen before. The amount of people that I've had come over, like that I've spoken to over the course of the last month and a half or whatever it is, that have gone, I've never seen anything like that. It's very few people out there that are performing what I do the way that I perform it, from what I can gather. So that's great. If I could then walk in and somebody says to me, right, okay, well, you know, I've had one person go, like, take your watch off or whatever. I'll always keep the focus away from the gimmick. But if there is anybody that's kind of hesitant, and then I could go, tell you what, then absolutely fuck all, just think of something in your head, mate. You know, that would be incredible to be able to do that well enough, the way that Pete does it. To go, okay, you think I'm using something? I'll take my watch off. I'll take my shoes off. Whatever. Just say whatever Pete says and then tell them their star sign. It will just fucking explode people's heads. So I understand fully why Pete does what he does. I don't know if Pete's out as a gigging magician anymore. I don't know whether he goes out and gigs.
I don't know either.
But I mean, for what, you know, Pete is who Pete is. He's one of the best in the world when it comes to mentalism, and that's within the community and stuff, that's what he's aspired to be. I would love to be as good as Pete, don't get me wrong, and I think what Pete does is absolutely incredible. But for what I do at the moment, at the level that I'm at, with the gigs that I'm doing, that's a bit too much for me.
So what are you going to give it?
That's really hard, because I think if you were as good as Pete Turner, you'd be able to crush people with that. Because they're literally thinking of any animal in the world. Any animal. And he'd be able to fish well enough to get to that animal.
Yeah.
I'm not good enough to be able to do what that requires me to do. So I don't want to give it a bad mark, and I don't want to say that I'm not going to do it, because that's the first ever propless mentalism I've ever done, ever. And it worked. I got really lucky, and I don't think it would work in the real world, but I
think we need to wrap this up.
I think we do, yeah. We're being
when the MD of the company just looks through the door and does this, you know we're in shit.
Sorry. That's a really difficult one though, isn't it?
Yes.
Like how do you mark something like that in my...
With a number.
Yes. And quickly, because I'm married to the MD. She'll take it out on me.
I'm not going to do it.
I'm scared.
I'm not going to do it yet. But I'm going to work on it.
So what?
And are there other things like this out there?
Lots. Yeah, you could go down a rabbit hole of propless mentalism.
I want to go down the rabbit hole of propless mentalism. I feel like I need to go down the rabbit hole of propless mentalism. I only needed to read that once yesterday. I read it twice. I think I need to go down the rabbit hole of propless mentalism.
Okay, I can give you some sources, but right now give it a rating based on now.
Based on right now, because I'm not going to do it right now, and I don't think it's a reflection. It's not a reflection on this, because it's very well done. I like the concept that he's actually just written it, so you have to sit there and read it. There's no downloads, there's no nothing. You just buy a little book and you can sit there and read it. I like it, and I'm going to do it. And
okay, she's getting really annoyed now. Please just give it.
I'm going to give it 79 because I'm not going to do it right now.
Okay, 79%. Thank God.
Because I'm not going to do it right now.
Honestly, Michael, it's like pulling blood out of a stone.
It's a tricky one. This is a difficult one. It's a difficult one.
79%.
Because I'm not going to do it right now.
No.
Like, I'm not going to do it this weekend.
But you want to work on it.
I want to go down the propless mentalism rabbit hole. If anybody's got any like good propless mentalism tips, good things to downloads, whatever, things like this, whatever, just leave them in the comments, because I really want to start. I really want to start diving into this.
I'll give you some sources to look at.
Yeah. I really want to dive into it. I really do.
Brilliant. Well, we've got a Christmas lunch to go to. Very exciting. Thank you very much for joining us here on the Matt test. And don't forget, on the 1st of January, Matt is doing a 5x5 Matt Cluley special. We're filming it tomorrow. It's 5 tricks that he does all of the time that aren't Stebbins or don't involve Stebbins or dice or stuff like that. So that's going to be
Who am I doing it on? We're doing it here?
Yeah, we're doing it here.
Who am I doing it on?
Matt. No,
I'm Matt.
Jack.
I might try that then.
Yeah?
I might just give it a go, see what happens in the 5x5.
Okay, but you got to promise me, Michael, if it doesn't work, that stays the edit.
Oh yeah, I'm leaving it in.
Good.
If it doesn't work, it's staying in?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck it. I'll give it a go.
Good. So check that out.
When am I doing it?
Well, tomorrow. Or maybe even later on today.
I've got tonight to...
Probably not.
I haven't got tonight to read these again.
No, you've just learnt it. You've just done it on me and Michael. It's been brilliant. We'll see you again very, very soon. Don't forget, Matchmentary on Thursday. Live performance footage of you performing Luca Volpe's trick.
Oh, shit. Is that this week?
That'll be fun. So make sure you check out that, and we'll be back again soon. Have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year from me, Santa Claus.
Oh, yeah.
Santa
Is
Pet.
that it? Is this the last video before Christmas?
There's one next Tuesday, but next Tuesday is the Christmas filming.
Yeah,
that's it. Say Merry Christmas.
We haven't got any more videos going out on YouTube until after Christmas.
We've got videos going up every single day, but we've bumped you. We've got Christmas content. We're giving you a week off from filming. Yeah. But we are going to film later on today the 5x5 special. So other than that,
got a week off.
Other than that, yeah. So I say bye. On behalf of Santa Petty and on behalf of Matt, the Grinch Cluley, we'll see you again soon. Thanks for checking out Magic TV. Bye, everyone.